kids back over to my mom's house. Because how long does a DCF investigation take?
Okay, so you're in Kansas. I'm in California. I'm not licensed in Kansas. I couldn't tell you that. If you were in California, from the Sunflower State. Shanti, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Well, I just got a question. I just really got a question, but let me just try to fill you in so you can understand my whole case
Mm-hmm.
that I've been going through. So, back in 2019 of November, I took my son to go to the doctor for a skin problem because his skin used to bubble up and peel off, and she basically accused that as abuse. So they came and got my kids and took my kids and whatnot. Um, they never did show me the medical records. The first time I know I hired a lawyer, but she told me that you can't fight the state, so I had to plead no contest or whatnot the first round. I finally got my kids back September of 2020. I had my daughter August 30th of 2020, but my child's father with my youngest son, he's been really battling me, so it's been really hard for me. So like he's like I'm talking about, he got criminal records, he got all types of stuff, but they was just always for him. He like when my kids first got taken, I told my caseworkers to take my kids to my parents' house, but they didn't listen to me. They listened to my child's father, and he told them to take my kids over to his auntie's house. Come to find out, it was his girlfriend's house. It wasn't even his auntie's house. It was his girlfriend's house. So finally, they placed my kids with my parents' house or whatnot, and that was a good thing after 4 months. But I had my daughter August 2020 or whatnot. It was never no drug case or anything like that. I got my kids back in September. Me and my child's father, the youngest one, that they always think that he's been abused. We had 50-50. So he had days, I had days. So I gave him back to his father, and then he had called me. Well, he had texted me and said he got bruises on him, and I'm like, he didn't have that when I had him. So he took pictures, and of course he called the cops on me, and they came to got my kids twice. So after fighting for that or whatnot, that was September of 2020. I finally got them back February of 2021. So I got my kids back. Everything was good, and everything else with reintegration, the casework team, they was good. They switched my case over to aftercare workers. And I told my case team, I told her, I was like, hey, I don't feel comfortable having the aftercare workers because they was for my child's father getting his son over there to him because they removed my youngest son from his care due to THC in his system. So they removed him and they brought him back over there to my mom's house. So I just had my three kids, and then I was working. They was going to actually give me my youngest son back to me in my care, but the aftercare people really don't like me. I'm pretty sure they just had it out for me. They really just was for my child's father. So they really didn't like my mom either. So they took my kids over because, like, she had texted me. The aftercare lady had texted me and told me, hey, I want to get the case closed. Can you go take your kids to go do a hair follow? So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll go take them to do a hair follow because I know they haven't been around nobody who smokes. Now, I haven't smoked. So I took them to do a hair follicle on March the 3rd. My lawyer told me through email that they tested positive for THC, and I'm looking like, how? And so the aftercare lady, she called me and said, well, we're going to have to pick up your kids. And I'm like, well, where they're going? She told me they're going to foster care. I'm like, no, by law, they're supposed to go with family first, and they're supposed to go with my mom. But she said, no, we got concerns with your mom. So I'm asking her questions like, what concerns do you have? And she told me boundary issues, and my youngest son tested positive for THC. I said that was in his father's care, not my kids, like my care. So I'm confused on why would you even mix that up. But she ended up taking all four of my kids, and they basically are split up in two different foster homes. And instead of her basically placing my kids back with my mom, she didn't like my mom, so she did a DCF intake and accused my mom of putting bruises on my youngest son. So now they're having an open investigation on my mom and dad, and they can't go over there now because of her lies. So my question is like, I'm trying to really fight to get my kids at least back over to my parents' house, and I'm trying to at least trying to do that, but they still not giving me answers on how long this DCF investigation is gonna take.
So what's your question?
So like, how can I get my kids back over to my mom's house? Because how long does a DCF investigation take?
Okay, so you're in Kansas. I'm in California. I'm not licensed in Kansas. I couldn't tell you that. If you were in California, it could take anywhere from one day to 6 months. I mean, just depending how fast they go or if they're trying to delay it. What I would suggest is that your parents get an attorney to represent them in the CPS courtroom so they can go in and fight for the kids. Don't wait for the social worker. If you wait for the social worker, you'll be waiting forever.
Right.
So get an
Is that
attorney that can represent your parents inside the CPS courtroom. Now, a long time ago, California and some states, or specifically LA County, used to appoint attorneys to represent relatives, and for some reason, I believe that they don't anymore, or you have to make a special request of the judge. So if you don't have the funds to hire an attorney to represent your parents, or if your parents don't have the funds, you could try to talk to your attorney about making a special request that a court-appointed attorney be appointed to them so they can try to get these grandkids.
okay? That's what I was thinking. Because I know I hired a private attorney, and they said they were hired a private, but like everybody else says that nobody never want to fight CPS. They like they so scared of them. So I'm trying to at least find another lawyer for them or whatnot to represent them because I know my court is next month.
Right. So did you hear the call right before you?
Yes.
So we were talking about calling and finding attorneys, right? Got to get
Right.
Google knows all. Cynthia's told this story many times. She made 50 calls, 50 calls, and even met with several attorneys before she found somebody that would take her case. So you got to
Oh
make
boy.
you got to make those types of calls. I know, oh boy, right. But this is important. What's more, making those calls?
Okay, that's what I'm going to do because I know I can't wait for them because they keep saying, well, we still don't have no information.
Yeah,
I've been contacting their director and
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else, and she
Don't.
said she was going to contact them, but
They're giving you the stall game.
I
Take
figured that because it's been 2 weeks now.
Yeah, take matters into your own hand and get your own attorney for your parents so that they can walk into the courtroom and say, "Hey, judge, I want the kids." All right?
Okay, thank you so much.
Hey, Shanti, thank you for calling in. Call us in a few weeks, give us an update. But I appreciate you calling in, and I appreciate you listening to the show.
Thank you. I will.
All right. So we're moving into the quarter.